Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Behind the Curtain for Absolute Intense Wrestling. I, of course, am your host, Pedro DeLuca, and today my very special guest is the reigning Absolute Intense Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. Josh, first of all, thank you for joining me here today. Now, Josh, we've seen what you can do in the ring, but the purpose of these Behind the Curtains is we want to find out what makes up the man. So, always my first question is, what was it that made you want to become a professional wrestler?
It's really hard to pinpoint for me, because pro wrestling was kind of always mentioned in my life, but it was never something that I really experienced. I had like action figures and stuff like that as a child. But I guess it was just one random day when I was like 10 years old. I turned on, I watched a movie on TBS, and then it ended, and WCW Saturday Night came on.
Okay.
And like I can't even remember who it was or what it was, but just from that point on, I was obsessed.
Now, you say your whole life you were kind of conditioned to it. Did you like wrestle in grade school, high school, or anything like that?
No. My grandmother was a huge wrestling mark. Like
Okay.
she loved Randy Savage and
Okay.
Miss Elizabeth, and like, she's like the wholesome grandmother. And I remember when I was like 4, she was supposed to come over and we were supposed to watch WrestleMania together.
All right.
But I may have watched it that day. I can't remember, but I know that my dog actually died that day.
Oh God.
So I think that eclipsed whatever
Right.
seed of pro wrestling was going to be planted that day. But you know.
Now, as you started your pro wrestling journey, how did you break into the business? Where did you train at?
I started off at a real, you can say terrible wrestling school.
Terrible.
It was really kind of just like a place with a ring. No real trainer. Nobody had ever really found success that was there, but it was a place to learn the very basics.
Okay.
And just through trial and error learning things. And then about a year after that, I went to a guy named Hotshot Johnny Devine, used to be X-Division champion. He
Okay.
opened a school, and he was trained in the Heart Dungeon, so he trained us in the lore of the Heart Dungeon, which is very difficult. But yeah, I went there a year after I started training, and yeah.
Take us into your very first match. What do you remember about your very first match?
It was 3 weeks after I started training at that first school.
Wow, 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, I
Wow.
took to bumping real quick, and I knew the moves from backyarding a little bit, and nobody was really that good, so when somebody canceled on the show, I remember they decided to put me in that slot. I didn't want to be a part of it.
Okay.
I was denying it. I was 18 years old, just, nope, don't put me in it, don't want to do it, and everybody made me, and it was a 4-way tag match, 48 minutes.
48 minutes for your very first match.
And I wore a white t-shirt, and I got chopped so many times by all the vets in the match that I bled through it.
Nice.
And it was an overall terrifying experience, but it was great nonetheless, because I was obsessed.
Now that you've gotten your feet wet, how had you expanded throughout your native Canada?
Through Canada, I'd say for the first 5 years was more, I was kind of like, I was rookie of the year, then I was most improved, and I was always kind of the guy on the rise.
Okay, and we're back. Josh had to let his illustrious valet, Beta Scott, into the building.
Yes,
Right?
I do.
You were expounding upon your travels throughout Canada. You were Rookie of the Year, Most Improved.
Yeah, I was kind of always heralded as the next up-and-comer behind, I guess the guy right in front of me was Michael Elgin the entire time. He was the guy before me that was Rookie of the Year, the guy before me that was Most Improved. And just as he started making his wave around, I was always right behind him, fresh on his tail. And yeah, I'd say once he went to Ring of Honor, now kind of Canada, I'd probably be the top guy in Canada. Me, Tyson Dukes, and Ethan Page are kind of like the top 3.
As you're making your travels, was there anyone that kind of took you under their wing or kind of said, hey kid, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to stop doing? Was there anybody that was a major influence on the early part of your career?
I was pretty smart to just kind of pay attention and see what to do and what not to do. I was lucky enough to be raised properly, I'd like to think, to avoid that kind of stuff. But Michael Elgin was the guy that championed my name in every promotion. I'd hop in the car with him and go wherever. And it was just a way to get my name out there.
Take us into how you made your way into the United States.
Ethan Page, who was my best friend, yeah, he looked at me and he said, "You can help me."
Oh,
because
one of those kind of friends.
I was this guy that was having these awesome matches and getting all this press up in Canada, but nobody could see you in Canada. And when he looked at me, he said, "We should be a tag team, because that's the fastest way you're going to get to Ring of Honor or PWG or all these places. If there's a good tag team, they're going to get seen faster than the singles guy. It's just the battle of numbers." So we got a booking in Baltimore. We started driving Baltimore. He got in here. I came with him. AAW. We've just made our way around the United States, and since then it's kind of taken off.
You've given in the past a very memorable promo about how you had to sit and watch, I believe it was Absolution, from the stands. Take us from going from sitting in the stands to where you are right now, the Absolute Champion.
The entire time I was sitting in that audience that night watching Absolution, it was my first experience of AIW, which is a good experience to have. It was just this itch that I had to be on this show. I had to wrestle in front of this insane crowd on this insane show that has so many different guys that I've never seen in the ring before. And since then, it's been almost a year and a half, 2 years. And to say I'm Absolute Intense Champion already, it's amazing.
You kind of mentioned nobody could see you in Canada. What is the biggest difference between an American independent and a Canadian independent?
Well, I guess there's a lot of independents in America that aren't seen as well, but for some place like AIW specifically, just being able to distribute over Smart Mark Video or just the internet presence they have, kind of getting that buzz out there. Buzz is like a big word in wrestling. It just helps spread your name around, and the more fans that see you, and if you're good, the more you're going to be able to get around. AIW is kind of like just a ship to set my name on, right?
Well, you've done a pretty good job in the first 2 years of your foray here into AIW, currently the Absolute Champion. Where do you see yourself going in the future?
Hopefully continue to be Absolute Intense Champion. I would like to make a living being a professional wrestler and live my dream for the rest of my life. That's the overall goal. Well, the Walking Weapon has made a pretty darn good start here in his first 2 years. Again, the Absolute Heavyweight Champion here at AIW. Best of luck to you here at Gauntlet for the Gold and all your future endeavors here at AIW and beyond in the wrestling world. So thank you very much for joining us here. This has been Behind the Curtain with the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander.